Okay, it looks like everyone's in. So hello, everyone. My name is Darren. I am one of the marketing coordinators with BCIT's School of Health Sciences. It is my pleasure to welcome you to this information session for the Diagnostic Medical Sonography program. First of all, I just want to say how happy we are to see you all, and thank you for attending our presentation today. And second, feel free to post any questions or comments you have into the chat during the presentation, and we will do our best to address as many questions as we can near the end of the presentation in the Q&A segment. And just before we get started, I want to say that the British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam. And our agenda for today is welcome and introductions. We'll do a couple of quick polls just to find out where everyone's at. We'll do the main presentation and program overviews, and we'll have some program advising information, and then we'll do the questions and answers at the very end. Okay, here comes the important question now for everyone. This is a diagnostic medical sonography poll question. And it is, which of the following body parts cannot be assessed with sonography? The heart, healthy lungs, ankle joint, or kidneys? Oh, by a mile, the ankle joint seems to be the clear winner for that. And instead of me answering that, I'm going to take this opportunity to introduce our presenters, Heather Burke and Ken Markin. And whoever is going to begin, please let us know how we all did on the poll question.
Hi, everyone. My name's Ken Markin, and I'm one of the program heads here in Diagnostic Medical Sonography. So thanks for filling out all the poll questions. And this one in particular, you might be surprised. The correct answer is actually healthy lungs. Yes, believe it or not, we can actually scan the ankle joint with musculoskeletal sonography. And that's one of our micro-credentials that we offer here at BCIT. But first, you have to become a sonographer before you can learn how to scan the ankle or shoulder or any of the other musculoskeletal areas that we can look at. Obviously, you also recognize that we can scan the heart and the kidneys. So a lot of different areas, especially the solid organs we can scan, as well as the moving heart. But healthy lungs, because they're air-filled, we can't see inside them. So any air-filled organ is not able to be scanned with sonography. Any healthy lungs, I should say, any healthy organ. Did I say that? Any air-filled organ is not, it cannot be scanned with sonography. Sorry, I was reading healthy lungs there. Oh, it's a long day. All right, I can close out the poll there. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. And let me tell you a little bit about sonography. So we can look at healthy patients or unhealthy patients with diagnostic medical sonography, which is commonly known as ultrasound. So we use high frequency sound waves above our range of hearing in order to look at all kinds of different structures inside the body. So we can look at a pregnant woman, somebody who's carrying a developing fetus. We can look at both the pediatric and the adult heart, as well as the fetal heart. We can look at all the abdominal organs, including liver, kidneys, spleen, pancreas. We can look at the pelvis, at the urinary bladder, the uterus, the ovaries, and some things you might not even think about, such as the thyroid, the scrotum, the breast, and even the blood vessels. So we can assess the full cardiovascular system. And the thing about ultrasound is that really it's direct patient care. Each patient comes with unique needs. And as a student, you will learn those diagnostic problem solving and team collaboration skills to give each patient the highest quality of care. Next slide. So some fun facts about sonography. We are a diagnostic field, so we work as part of the healthcare team under the direction and supervision of radiologists and cardiologists in order to perform diagnostic scans where we write a technical report based on the findings that we see, and we present those findings to the supervising physician, whether that's a radiologist or cardiologist. So we're part of the diagnostic team. We assess the anatomy and function of organs. For example, in cardiac sonography, we can look at the function of the heart. And all your training incorporates anatomy, biology, and physics. So for those of you that took physics 11 and 12 and you're wondering, what am I going to use this for? Well, this is where those things that you learned, we put them into practice, and you learn all about different aspects of those physical principles. And like I said earlier, we provide direct patient care, and which means that we'll often work in different places like private clinics or even public hospitals. And this allows us to see a wide range of patients, different types of cases, and perhaps, patients that have different types of illnesses as well. Next slide. So we have a number of options in the sonography program. First off, I'm going to talk a little bit about our diploma program. And with this as an entry to practice program, we have two options or two streams. Our first one is our dual stream, which is 27 months in length. And you learn both cardiac sonography as well as general sonography. And for those of you that don't know, general sonography includes obstetrics, abdominal ultrasound, pelvic ultrasound, as well as small parts and vascular. We also have a general option stream, which is a little bit shorter, and it's 22 months in length, and that's where you learn general sonography. So once again, this is just obstetrics, abdominal scanning, gynecological work, all that is included in the general stream. And we also have cardiac advanced diploma, which is a program in which you learn about echocardiography or cardiac scanning, but this is actually a more advanced program in the fact that you have different prerequisites for this particular program. So you have to have already a degree in some sort of healthcare field, or perhaps a diploma in healthcare in, say, medical radiography or cardiac sciences before you apply to this program. So our program is cohort-based, and we provide hands-on learning. So we are taking 36 students in this next intake, and you will spend 3 terms on campus at BCIT, from terms 1 to 3, where you'll be learning all the different sort of aspects of anatomy and physiology, learning about their sonographic appearance, and then applying those foundational skills in the lab. We also train you clinically. You'll have a short clinical where you get introduced to the clinical setting in between terms 2 and 3. And then when you finish the 3rd term, you'll start into full-time clinical. And in that final year, you'll go through clinical to reach all your clinical skills, and you'll be assessed to ensure that you have the highest standards before you write your Canadian Sonography Registry exams. Next slide. Now, before I move on to Cardiac Advanced Diploma and turn it over to Heather, I was just going to mention that if you are entered into our program, your clinical might be anywhere in the province. Of course, we'll try to place you as close to home as possible. However, expect that if you are from the Lower Mainland, you'll probably have to spend at least 1 clinical rotation in the interior or perhaps on Vancouver Island. So now I'm going to pass it over to Heather, and she's going to tell you a little bit more about our Cardiac Advanced Diploma program.
Hello, everybody. My name's Heather Burke, and I share the program head role with Ken. So as he said, I'll talk to you a little bit about our Cardiac Advanced Diploma program. We're going to be, we accept 12 students every single year, and it starts in January. So it's a little bit different than our diploma program. So the application period is over the summer, closing about end of July, and they start in January. It is a shorter program. You'll be on campus from January to the end of May, and then the rest of the time is clinical. And so just like Ken said with the diploma program, the clinical is anywhere in BC. Sorry, you could be anywhere in the Lower Mainland, up north, on the island. It just depends on where those clinical spots are. Like in the diploma program, when you're here on campus, you'll be learning theory and you'll be doing scanning on each other. So you'll be a patient for your fellow students, and you'll learn how to scan the heart by scanning each other. Next slide. Oh, and I think I already said this. So yeah, it's full-time on campus. And it really is full-time. It's Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. So if you are getting into either program, the diploma program or this program, it's full-time. So be prepared to work not at all or just very minimal work. The clinical rotations, there's about 3 different clinical rotations that you'll be moved around a little bit. Every couple months, you'll start at a new location, and that is to get you exposure to other hospitals and experience with different technologists out there. Next slide. So to get into the Cardiac Advanced Diploma program, you need to have one of 2 things, either a Bachelor of Science, and it can be in anything such as kinesiology, biology, chemistry, biomedical physiology, anything that's health related, science related. Or you can have the other option is a 2-year health diploma, and that with a certificate in the professional association. So those are our cardiology techs, our x-ray techs, general sonographers, professionals who are out in the hospital and want a career change. So they have a bit of work experience. Now they want to get into the ultrasound side. So you can have one or the other, don't have to have both. And that'll get you into the program, that'll get you qualified for the program. Next slide. So how do you choose between the diploma and the advanced diploma program? And that is depending really on 2 things. So first off, your education. So if you have a bachelor's degree, you can apply for either. If you have a diploma already and are working as a technologist. However, if you don't have your bachelor's degree, your only option is a diploma program, or continue and finish your bachelor's degree and then apply for the Cardiac Advanced Diploma. So that's the first one, is how much education you have. The second one is the career though. And with the Advanced Diploma program, you will only be qualified to work as a cardiac sonographer. So if your dream is to work in general sonography, that's not the program for you. So I would recommend you go out and research the difference between the 2 jobs. And if you look on our website, we do talk a little bit about the difference between cardiac sonography and general sonography. The career outlook is the same in both. Both have excellent job placements right now. So you'll get full-time work in either. So it's really about what you want to do with your life. Next slide. So for career opportunities, there is a lot of jobs out there right now. All of our students are walking into full-time jobs, whether it's in cardiac, general, or working as a dual tech. So most of our graduates will work in the hospital or in the private setting, private clinic setting. If you work in cardiac sonography, you can only work in a hospital. If you work in general sonography, you can choose between working in a hospital or working in a private ultrasound clinic. But there are a few other options as well. Once you've got a few years of experience, there's other things you can move on to, such as sales for the ultrasound companies, app specialist. An app specialist is someone who travels around from hospital to hospital teaching the sonographers at the site how to use the machines. You can do other things such as teaching, like Ken and I are doing. So there's lots of different opportunities out there. Next slide. Oh, and I was ahead of myself. So those are the lists of things you can do there. I think I've said them all. And there's also the one I didn't say is the volunteer work. There is lots of volunteer work out there, such as being on the board. There is even, well, before COVID, opportunities to volunteer as a sonographer in other countries. So there is stuff out there as well. Next slide. And I think that's it for me. So I'll pass it back over to Darren.
Great. Thank you, Heather and Ken. I really appreciate all that excellent information. And now I will be reviewing with you the entrance requirements and admissions process, along with briefly discussing some key student services that are available to you at BCIT. First, I'll go over the program details. Here you can see the start dates for both the advanced diploma and the regular diploma. The January start date, the application period is from May 1st until August 31st. And for the September start date is October 3rd to January 5th. And applicant residency, you would need to be from British Columbia. And sadly, you have to be from British Columbia.
Darren, can I add one thing to that?
Please do.
Just yesterday, I put in a program update to change the application period for the advanced diploma so that
Okay.
it'll be due July 31st. And the reason for that is it was too tight. We weren't giving the applicants enough time before the program started. So it will be closing on July 31st this year.
Okay, thank you very much. That is very important. Sorry, I didn't have the slide updated for that. And then, okay, for everyone, filling out the online application is relatively straightforward. Once the application opens for each cycle, you can log in and review the online application, and you can work on filling out the application at your own pace. It does not go to admissions until you pay the application fee. So the date you apply does not have an impact on your application. You have until the application deadline date to submit your application. And regarding the application process, you will firstly review all the entrance requirements and the application processing dates. You'll then upgrade if necessary, and BCIT does offer some upgrading courses in many of the subjects. Program advising can assist you with that. Ensure that when you apply online that you have all your required documents, such as transcripts, ready to scan and upload as PDF files. We definitely recommend digital and not sending your transcripts in physical form. BCIT.ca admissions will guide you through the step-by-step application process. And once you are ready to apply online, you can visit bcit.ca/apply. And the application fee for domestic students is $90 Canadian currently. The application process takes place entirely online, and therefore you will need to convert your official transcripts and any additional documents that you may be required to PDF files. Now let's review the requirements. You can read through the list there. English Studies 12, Pre-Calculus 12, Anatomy and Physiology 12, Physics 11 or Physics 12 or equivalent. You will need to do the Casper test, the online, and we'll call it a personality test for lack of a better word, and mandatory applicant questionnaire. Preference will be given to applicants with math, biology, and physics requirements completed within the last 5 years, post-secondary education, consistently good grades in previous education, a demonstrated interest in the field, and related volunteer and/or work experience. There are test course options for meeting entrance requirements, and please contact program advising for assistance with that. The mandatory applicant questionnaire is your opportunity to highlight any non-academic experience you have that will strengthen your application, as well as to highlight your skills and abilities. As I mentioned, the Casper test is an online test. The test will utilize everyday scenarios. A moral dilemma is presented to the test taker, and there's no right or wrong answer. So you cannot really study for the test, and it's not knowledge-based. However, there is a full 12-section Casper sample test available online. You will have need to registered for a Casper account to access the sample test, but the test is free of charge to use, and there's a lot of information on the Casper site to help you prepare for the exam. So please spend some time reviewing the information, because that's a big part. There's no specific GPA required to apply, but however, a strong GPA is preferred in that it shows an aptitude for post-secondary coursework. But numerical grades are just one piece of the larger picture. More of a holistic view is how you're selected. And successful applicants are well-rounded. Selected applicants often possess consistently strong marks, a demonstrated interest in the field, relevant recent volunteer or work experience. B+ average is an advantage, especially in preferred courses, and volunteered or paid work experience, hours involving direct interaction with people in a healthcare setting is preferred, and that experience within 5 years. As mentioned, as part of the online application, you will need to upload documents for a timely assessment to be completed. You can download official digital transcripts, or you can convert your transcripts and documents to PDF files. Information on how to convert documents to PDF files is available on our website. For example, you can scan or take pictures of your official transcripts and save them as PDF files. And please ensure you upload all required documents to minimize delays in the application process. And the application process is more or less like this. The admissions will review applicants to ensure the requirements have been met. Then Admissions will forward complete applications to the DMS department. After the application deadline, the DMS department shortlists and selects applicants. Admissions will then send acceptance letters, and then you pay the commitment fee, which is currently $500 Canadian. And now moving from academics, I would like to let you know BCIT is committed to supporting students in a holistic sense. We want you to succeed not only in your academics, but also outside of school. Some of the student services are available to you as a prospective student, and others will be available to you once you become an enrolled student. And here are some important student supports I'd like to mention. If you are Indigenous, BCIT's Indigenous Initiatives Department is there for you to ensure a smooth transition into your first year. They offer peer-to-peer mentorship, a welcoming gathering place, and provide clarification on Indigenous funding. The BCIT's awards, scholarships, and bursaries are listed on our financial aids and awards webpage. I would like to mention that we have a President's Entrance Award, and selection is based on academic achievement, but also volunteer and community service. So please contact financial aid directly for more information on that. BCIT is committed to providing assistance to students with permanent or temporary disabilities. If you have been accepted to a program and you believe that you may need accommodation to be successful, I encourage you to connect with our Accessibility Services Department. BCIT's Student Health Services is a health clinic located on the Burnaby campus, and they provide medical care for current BCIT students all year round. We also have a counseling and student development department available to help you enhance your educational performance and maximize your success as a student at BCIT. And lastly, our recreation services promotes, encourages, and enables the practice of physical well-being, and we consider recreation an integral part of campus life and welcome all students to enjoy their services. So opportunities available at BCIT and other post-secondary institutions. This is the laddering, so hopefully this is all correct. The Magnetic Resonance Imaging Advanced Certificate in Bachelor of Health Sciences. You can also work towards a Bachelor of Health Sciences at the Thompson River University. There's an option for Health Leadership Advanced Certificate here at BCIT, or the Bachelor of Technology and Technology Management, also at BCIT here. So if you have any questions after today, I encourage you to connect with Program Advising, and they're available by telephone, Zoom appointment, and email. So please go to the webpage at bcit.ca/advising for the most up-to-date contact information and service hours. And I would like to mention, if your inquiry is time sensitive, please call us for assistance, or call advising on the phone, and that's the quickest way to get a snappy answer. And before we get to the questions and answers, I just want to mention that we would love for you to connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, or LinkedIn. These are our handles, and you can get a lot more information on the BCIT website. No need to write these down. Like Julie has kindly put in the chat, we will be sending everyone a copy of the slide deck and a link to the video recording sometime next week when everything's edited and uploaded. And that takes us to the questions and answers. So admittedly, I have not been keeping my eye on the chat. So let's see what we can find.
I could answer Amelia's question if you want. She says she's in grade 10. And it seems like you need post-secondary. It's not required, Amelia, but because it's so competitive, you really probably need to have at least 1 or 2 years to have that competitive edge. And I would recommend science, because that'll get you the strongest kind of background, and it'll help you the most once you're in the program. It doesn't matter which school, it can be college, university, and we don't require you to finish the degree, but definitely those with a little bit of post-secondary have a stronger application.
Okay, thank you, Heather. I'm going to try to read this like a question. I've also heard that there are opportunities to assist in academia/research in sonography. Is that true?
Yes, that is true. I think I answered Matthew's question there as
Thank
well.
You.
Just below
I should look for the answers instead of just reading. Thank you.
That is true.
Oh, Yes, and Erica, I think that was answered by Bavina. Thank you very much for Bavina. And we're very honored to have a program advisor, Bavina, with us today. So if you have admissions type questions, please feel free to ask those also.
Hi, Darren. I just want to jump in a little bit. I don't know
Okay.
if this was addressed because I was trying to answer the questions online, but if someone's currently in high school, I just wanted to point out they can't apply while they're in high school because they do need final grades on their official transcripts. So usually students are applying a year out. And so to answer the question about post-secondary courses, typically students, because they've already completed high school, they will probably have also completed some post-secondary courses prior to submitting their application to the program, just surely or possibly because they weren't able to apply while they were in high school. So they've just kind of continued their education. And the other question that's come up a couple of times is with people with backgrounds, international backgrounds in medical imaging, they still have to compete for a seat in the program. So if they're a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident of Canada and they're resident of BC and they have a background internationally, they can still apply, but they still have to submit proof of meeting the entrance requirements. Some of those requirements can be satisfied with post-secondary equivalencies and high school equivalencies. I've actually, in the chat, I have included a link to that equivalencies webpage if anybody wants to do kind of a self-assessment on that.
Maybe this was answered earlier. I don't think so, but maybe. I'm a radiographer from another country. I have a bachelor's degree in medical radiation technology, have been assessed by WES here in Canada. What are other requirements I should have? I'm sorry.
So again, the same, yeah. So the same requirements as all other applicants. They still have to meet the entrance requirements. They have to have those high school level courses or equivalent courses. If someone's missing one of those requirements, they can upgrade. They can upgrade at BCIT. They can upgrade elsewhere. We do have some upgrading options that we can provide. I'll provide some links in the chat for attendees to maybe copy and paste over and have a look at later on as well.
Okay, thank you. What about international radiologists? I'm not sure if that's the whole question. I might have missed the beginning of that.
I think we kind of answered that one. I think one of the international radiologists was asking about waivers, and I'm not sure if they meant like once they're in the program. So maybe I'll just answer that if that's how the question was directed. We do, once you apply, you have to meet all the application requirements. You have to interview and go through the competitive process. Once you're in the program, we do allow waivers from particular courses, but they have to be approved by the instructor. And it's very unlikely we would waive someone from one of the sonography courses because it's so extremely specialized. In our diploma program, we waived people from some of the basic health science courses if they've taken a similar course in SFU or UBC, but it's very unlikely to be waived from the actual scanning courses, just so that they're aware.
Okay, thank you, Heather. If my admission requirements are all met, but my post-secondary education GPA is not the best, will this affect my application?
I can answer that one too. GPA is just a small portion of the whole application process. So first step is getting past admissions, meeting all those minimum requirements. And then it comes to Ken and I and the rest of our department, and it's marked on a rubric. So GPA is just one small part of it. We also look at your volunteer experience, your fit for the job, how you filled out the application, and you get graded on a rubric based on all those factors. So GPA is just one small portion of the whole process.
Okay, thank you. I'm considered a mature student with a degree in education, so no university level sciences, however, but I do have all my high school sciences. Would it be best for me to upgrade my prerequisite courses since it was so many years ago for me?
I can field that, and perhaps I guess I would suggest that you submit your coursework to BCIT, to program advising. They can review that the courses that you've taken and advise you accordingly if you need to take any upgrading.
So we don't, I just want to clarify, in program advising, we don't do a pre-assessment of documents,
okay.
but we can If someone has specific questions, we can help get the resources to them so that they can do those self-assessments. So in the chat, I've included some options for upgrading. So those include whether it's upgrading at BCIT, upgrading through like adult learning, continuing education, or even at other colleges. So I've included those links in the chat. But going back to the pre-assessments, we don't provide the pre-assessments, but we can help direct them to how to do those assessments on their own and provide those resources.
Okay, thank you. By equivalent courses, does that mean one's taken at post-secondary? Example, I didn't take Physics 12, but have done the equivalent Physics 100 at UBC.
That's right. So if you've done a first-year physics course and you achieve the minimum grade that we require, which is 73%, then you can use that towards the physics requirement.
Okay, great. I took medical terminology out BC. Could I still use it in the program, or do I still need to take it from BCIT? I guess that was outside of BC or BCIT.
Well, yeah, we have a medical terminology course that's it's free, and the students just do it before the program starts. I think Ken and I, if you were accepted to a program, could review it and decide at that point. It's really an easy course. It's nothing to stress about. It's done before the program even starts. But we can discuss things like that when the opportunity arises.
Okay.
Medical terminology is a non-credit course. It's just like as Heather said, something that if you've already taken in the past, it's probably something very easy for you to complete.
Okay, excellent. So it's hard to tell me which ones have been answered or not, but is it possible to switch between programs once admitted? For example, general to dual or cardiac and vice versa?
No, you apply for the program and you stay in that program. However, if there is some thing that arises as you're progressing, perhaps there are opportunities to stream, but our seat size is limited by the number of clinical spaces that we have.
For volunteering, is Connect Place a suitable organization to volunteer, or would you rather volunteer at a hospital?
Yeah, I would say definitely. It's hard to get hospital volunteer work right now. It's probably getting a bit easier now that COVID's a bit lighter now, but Connect's Place is perfect. It's working with people, emotional setting. So it's got all that skills that'll help you as a sonographer. Really, we're looking, because of COVID, it's been hard to get volunteer work. So anything you can do working with people is perfect.
Okay, thank you. Would volunteer experience in a long-term care home be a good volunteer experience to have? Also, when we submit volunteer experience, do we need a letter from the place we volunteered at?
Yes, volunteer experience at a care home would be an excellent place. If we don't require a formal sort of letter of reference. However, that is something, obviously, if somebody is going to submit that as part of their application, I think that would be fine.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I'm seeing more answers to questions I'm asking, but it's good that the whole group could get to hear it, I suppose. If I don't have a specific anatomy course, but I did, looks like IB biology, is finished my health science degree from SFU with some microbiology courses, would that be okay? Sorry if I read that very poorly.
That's okay. So microbiology is not accepted towards the anatomy and physiology requirement, but there are IB equivalents that we may accept. And I've posted a link in the chat for the international equivalencies where you can find the IB equivalents.
Okay, thank you. Well, there's lots of questions coming in here. Hi, thanks for answering my question. To further my question, would a course like human anatomy and physiology 16-week course or a human behavior 12-week course be helpful in making my application stronger?
I don't really think so, to be honest. The application, if you don't have any post-secondary, that would help. But it's such a small portion. I think you'd be better off focusing your time on developing getting more volunteer experience, getting some work experience to boost your application that way. I don't know if you agree with that, Ken, but.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on what other coursework they've done.
Okay, thank you. Can I apply for the Cardiac Advanced Diploma with a Bachelor's of Arts in Health Sciences from SFU?
I saw that question and I don't know the answer offhand, but I would, I mean, maybe the admissions team knows, but because it's a health field, it may be accepted. I think you'd probably be best off contacting admissions personally and just not in a group setting, and just have them review it and see if that's close enough. But I think because it's health sciences, even though it's a arts degree, that it will meet the requirements. I don't know if Bavina knows.
I'm just trying to look that up on the entrance requirements page just to double check. Just give me a moment here.
I think that you
No,
can
it
always.
needs to be, sorry, it needs to be an allied health diploma. This is, the question was for cardiac sciences, right? For the advanced certificate?
Yeah.
Yes, it needs to be a minimum 2-year allied health diploma or a relevant Bachelor of Science.
Okay, thank you. Would it be possible to rotate only in the Lower Mainland because I have a small kid?
I can probably field this one. And unfortunately, due to the amount of learners that we have in the system, because BCIT as well as Camosun and the College of New Caledonia are also training sonography students, we all share and rotate through different hospitals within the Lower Mainland and around the province, so that everyone can get access to all the different case types and variety of skills. And so unfortunately, if you are accepted into the BCIT program, regardless of which program, you will probably have to have one clinical rotation outside the Lower Mainland.
We're quickly running out of time, and there's so many questions coming in. Let's see if we can get to a few more. When I was in high school, anatomy and physiology 12 was called biology 12. Would that be considered an equivalent?
Yes, so biology 12 is considered an equivalent. There was recently a name change and a slight curriculum change, but if the requirement is anatomy and physiology 12, we will accept BC biology 12.
Thank you. Is the final exam for the medical terminology course online?
Do you want me to field this one, Heather? Yes. It's a completely online course, so it's a non-credit course. It's just part of an admission requirement. Okay,
just going to try to find some that apply to the most people before we have to get cut off. And I'm just going to change a slide just in case you have a question and it didn't get answered. If you have the sonography specific program questions, you can send an email to sonography@bcit.ca. If it's more of an admissions program advising question, you can send an email to program_advising@bcit.ca, and you can get your answers that way. Yeah. What happens if I don't have any volunteer experience?
Yeah, I posted an answer in there. Volunteer experience just it boosts your score. It doesn't mean you can't apply. It doesn't mean you won't get in. It's just your score will be higher if you have some. So if you weren't able to get any, don't let that deter you. Just remember that you're going to kind of have a better application with that volunteer experience. And same with work experience. We also look at paid work experience. So on your application questionnaire, make sure you fill out all experience you have, whether it's paid or unpaid, and just state which it is.
Mm-hmm. And in addition to what Heather was saying there, is that we're looking for experience that you have working with the general public. Do you have experience as a front care worker, perhaps as a server, perhaps in any sort of public sort of frontline office? That would all be an advantage as well too. Dealing with the public is important.
Thank you. Got a couple of quick ones, I hope. Can I take the BCIT challenge exams, for example, challenge exams for Physics 11 to be considered as equivalent of Physics 11?
So you can, but we wouldn't recommend taking the challenge exams unless you've maintained recency in the learning outcomes, because you are being examined on the BC Physics 11 curriculum. So if you're not familiar with it, don't do the challenge exam. If it's been a really long time since you've taken physics and you're trying to prove that, yes, you're still recent in the knowledge and you also have maintained recency in the required learning outcomes, then that might be a good option. But my understanding is that the challenge exams are pretty tough because they are testing on the same curriculum that's in the high school level course.
Okay, thank you. And hopefully this is a quick question. Just got an email in my communication saying that my application has now reached step 2 department assessment. Does that mean my application has now been successfully accepted as meeting entrance requirements?
Yes, so it means that it's been accepted as meeting entrance requirements, but not acceptance for the program as of yet.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. I'm going to have to cut us off at that point. And thank you everyone so much for your great questions and your participating and just being here tonight. I want to thank Bavina from Program Advising and Ken and Heather from Sonography Program. And I hope you all have a great night. I totally appreciate you being here. And thanks again.